Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are joined tonight by candidate for Greenberg Central School District Board of Education, Rebeca Sampelayo. Rebecca, thank you for joining us this evening. As a reminder, the election for candidates for Board of Education is on May 21st. Voting is from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Woodlands Middle High School. That's 475 West Hartsdale Avenue. So please make sure to come out and vote. There will also be a referendum on the budget. Please make sure to come out and vote for that. Once again, May 21st. And we have 5 candidates running for 3 seats. Rebecca is a first-time candidate who's running, and we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So, Rebecca, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your experience, and why you're running for Board of Education?
Sure. Like as you mentioned, my name is Rebeca Sampelayo. I'm a long-term resident of Hartsdale. I mean, I moved on and off for about 40 years. Other than going away to college and doing a little stint in the city, I've been in Hartsdale now for the past 15 years, and I live here with my husband, Ernesto, and 2 of my 3 children. My third child is grown and adult and married and out of the house. One of my children is a senior who's graduating this year, and another one is in 7th grade. And my younger one is part of the special education system at Greenberg. And having graduated from Greenberg, I mean, I have huge affinity for the district. And I've been a very active participant in the PTAs. I've held several executive board positions, such as president, vice president. I've been a huge liaison for Spanish-speaking parents, having moved to the United States in the middle of 9th grade and landed in Greenberg. So I do have that connection to the Hispanic population, the Spanish-speaking population, and I know how I felt when I first moved. And one of my passions is helping other people. And that is primarily one of the reasons that I decided to run, not only to extend some of the work that I felt needed more of my focus that when I was doing the PTA, it's almost like a natural extension, but I also wanted to be able to help people like more concretely and more effectively. I am a bilingual speech and language pathologist. I work in one of the neighboring districts in Westchester. And in addition to that, I've trained other speech and language pathologists. I've held teaching positions in universities. I'm a member of the Speech and Language Associations. And in Greenberg, not only in PTA, but I was also part of the Strategic Plan Committee number 2. So, and all that, with those experiences, I felt, what can I do more? I have 2 children. One, of course, is graduating. One is still there. My middle child is identifies as transgender. I have my daughter, who's the youngest, who is part of the special ed. And I really felt like, what can I do to not only improve what the good work that has been done already by the board, but what can I do to move that forward? Because when you see good work, you want to do good work. So that was one of my reasons.
Okay, thank you. So tell me, obviously there's a lot of things. The board works as a team, but what aspects would you like to focus most on if you were to be elected to make a difference in either strengthening an area that you think needs improvement or even strengthening an area that you think is already a strength? What aspects of the board responsibilities would you like to focus most on should you be elected?
I think that there's, like you said, there's a lot of strengths there already. And as I mentioned before, the board has worked so hard. I think that one of the areas that I'd like to maybe implement a little bit or like work towards is more parent relationship, more communication with the parents. There is a lot of communication to begin with, but maybe make it more focused and almost link the relationship between the parents and the educators. Because for me, my work is very relationship based, and I find that there's so much progress and there's so much improvement when there's this relationship. There's a focal point where there's a partnership between parents and students and the educators. And I saw that growth in my own child, and now in the one that's graduating. And also I've been seeing it with a relationship having been formed for my younger child. The growth is incredible. So it is something that I would like to bring to the forefront and discuss. How can we form better relationships? How can we have more partnership with parents so that there's more involvement from the parents? Because sometimes I feel that there wants to be an involvement specifically with the Spanish speaking populations, but they don't have like an in. I feel like sometimes when you don't speak the language, it's very alienating. And although we open the invitations to parents, I think that perhaps I can do something. I would hope that I can do something that's more, makes it more accessible to them. The diversity of the Greenbrook School Districts and its staff are, it's, you know, it's huge. It's a huge plus in here. And I think that it's, like I said, it's always best to start where the strengths lie and move from there. I would like to continue to incorporate that diversity, the diverse perspectives in relationship work. You always talk about perspectives of others and empathy, and I'd like to bring that to the board as well.
Okay, thank you. So one piece of feedback and something I've noticed, I've lived here for about 10 years, is that over the last 3 or 4 years, there's been significant turnover at many levels within GCSD. Obviously, we have a new superintendent, but whether it's administrators, whether it's, I know we've had some issues filling a director of technology position, some teachers, what steps would you try and take at the board level to try and bring, maybe some consistency and stability to the district, because I think that is something that, we need to improve on.
And yeah, and then it's a concern, and I hear you, because it is something that I've spoken to several of my neighbors about, and through the years with other parents, because we see, how do we keep good staff on the Greenberg School District radar? Because there is so much of a turnover. I'm familiar with the kind of evaluation systems that I have and the kind of benefits that we offer where I work, but that's where I would probably start. And I would start by seeing, well, when are we evaluating the staff? What feedback are we giving staff? And are we hearing what the staff would like to know, or are we hearing what they need in order to continue working at the Greenberg Central School District? I think, again, going back to the relationships, it's always that as administrators, as Board of Ed and faculty, you want that open communication where the faculty and the staff feels comfortable coming to you and saying, this is what's missing, or this is what I would like to see. And then going back to the Board of Ed, I would only be one of 7, and discussing it and saying, well, what can we put in place so that the staff feels like this is a place to go home and remain here until retirement.
Mhm.
And
Is there
yeah,
anything that you would say that the district that you're working for, or things that you've seen in your experience in other districts that you would maybe, any specifics that you would maybe think would be, whether it's regarding administration turnover or anything else, is there anything that you've seen out there that you say, you know what, Greenberg really needs to be doing more of that as well?
um, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because I'm not part of the Greenberg faculty,
Hmm.
because, but I know that in any job that I've ever had, where people have stayed many years, because I'm in a district now, I'm only there 11 years. I was in another district in the city for 15 years, and I worked at a university for 15 years. And when I'm looking across all the context of where we had the most retention of staff is when the staff felt valued, and it's when the staff felt heard. And that's really, when we're looking at this, at the preschool that I worked at, which was in the city, there wasn't really a system of evaluations, but if we wanted to discuss something, or if we felt that something was missing, or we felt that we wanted to, I don't know, expand our horizons a little bit more, then we went to the administration and spoke about that. At the university levels, I mean, we had faculty that stayed frequently because if they wanted to teach a class, they would be able to, or if they wanted to change some of the systems at the university at that specific program in communication sciences and disorders, they would do it. In the district I am now, it's a very open communication. Is it always going to result in what the teachers want? No, but at least the teachers feel heard. And I feel that the administrators are working just as hard. And again, going back to what I said at the beginning, is when you see hard work being implemented, you want to do hard work, or you want to do better.
So your involvement with the district, obviously you haven't been on the board before, and you've been mostly in a volunteer role, but what do you think is a misconception that people have either about the Board of Education or the district in general or the PTA, or something that you know that, hey, I know a lot of people believe it's X, but I've been involved. I've been, someone who's on the ground on a day-to-day basis and working with the teachers and working with the students. It's really more like why. Is there any kind of big misconceptions that you think is important for people to realize?
I think that one of the misconceptions is that if you're part of the PTA, you're going to be in all these meetings all the time. And that was historically through the 7 years where I held executive positions. We really struggled to have more involvement because I think people felt that membership automatically meant that you had to devote all this time to the PTA. And I think that parent involvement is huge. So that's something that I think merits more discussion through the years. And I'm sure it's been discussed over and over again. One thing that is one huge misconception about Greenberg, and I really am a graduate of the district, and I can't believe that I'm still having these conversations with people, which are the same conversations I'm having with people outside the district that I had when I was back in high school of what a bad district is, or we don't have good curriculum and we don't have, there's fights. And it's such a misconception. We have those discussions. It's not rare that I might run into a parent who asks outside of this district, who asks me, oh, you go to Greenberg, are you going to pull your kids out once they're good to 4th grade because the school is terrible? And that's when it's only one person, and that's a huge misconception, but I try to take that opportunity to say, really, these are the great things that the district has. This is what's very similar of Greenberg with other districts. And it's not, don't base yourself on rumors or what you hear from other people, because it's not really what Greenberg looks like from the inside.
Okay, thank you. So, for the first time in a long time, Greenberg passed a capital bond, a fundraising project. Um, in terms of capital needs for the district, obviously we live in a world of finite resources and things like that. But in terms of, next steps, and I think a lot of people are hoping to follow that bond up with another one and kind of develop a rolling process where we're addressing the capital needs of the district. What do you think are some areas that need to be prioritized in terms of focusing on capital projects that need to be worked on?
Well, I was thrilled that we passed that one because I'm sure that you've seen the tennis courts and there's like weeds growing through cracks in the tennis court. So I'm thrilled that that was being allotted for that. I think a lot of the technology we have, while we do have a lot of technology, I think there's still more to be brought into the district, because I look at outside districts and they have so much. And I think that that's something that can be improved upon. I think, I'm telling you, Eric, the school looks like it did when I went there 30 years ago about. So to improve the look at the cafeteria, to the auditorium is the same, having that fixed, access and exit points, shared campuses. The Lee F. Jackson building has ECP and Lee F. Jackson students. We're having so many students registered into the district that we're at capacity and beyond. And how can we expand upon the buildings to then fit, the growing population of the district? And that is also one of the huge issues that needs to be worked on.
Yeah, I know this year was the first year in a long time that enrollment was up. Enrollment, I'm sure enrollment has been in Greenberg has been steadily going down. It's almost 30% lower than it was a few years ago. So reversing that trend is something that I was glad to see. So, okay, I only have one or two more final questions. I'll obviously give you a chance at the end to talk about anything that you want to make sure is out there or is addressed. But before we do that, if any voters out there are interested in connecting with you further and getting in contact with you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
So I have a website that's I'm currently developing. I'm trying to find the correct address because my campaign manager slash child started with that, and we just wanted to hear from some people before we added all the information, and it's votesampelayo.com.
Okay. Is there an email address maybe for people to reach out to you if they want to
Yes,
email
I'm
you?
just trying to find, hold on, I'm sorry.
Okay, take your time. No rush.
And I have, oh, wow. I can't find it and I'm blanking. I'm so sorry. If you Give me a second.
All right, well, if you
Yeah.
take your time, if you want to just send it to me afterwards, I can
Mhm.
put it in the video and people can reach out to you there.
Okay,
But
that would
sounds
be
like the
perfect.
website will be up shortly if people want to take a look at that.
Yes, I should have that up by the end of the week.
Okay. All right. So, one last question before I give you a chance just to kind of wrap things up. Obviously, there's 5 candidates that are running for 3 seats. Are there
Mhm.
any other candidates that are running that you'd like to support or are endorsing as part of your candidacy?
That's such a tricky question because I felt that although I didn't know all of them and the onset at the candidates night, I got to hear all of them. And I think that everyone brings so many strengths to the possibility of being part of the board. So of course, you know, there's a candidate who is the current superintendent of curriculum and instruction, and has strengths in that. There's one that was a principal and she has strengths at that. There's one that is an incumbent and she has a lot of familiarity with the board and its procedures and are very detail oriented. It's hard to pick 1 or 2 or 3, Eric, because I feel like everybody really does have their strengths. And when I look at myself working with any of them, I can see myself working with them. So
That's
yeah,
fine.
I guess
Yeah.
I could
Okay.
leave it at that.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. We do appreciate it.
I can tell you the email
Yeah,
address
please.
now. It's votesampelayo@gmail.
Vote Sampelayo. So Sampaleyo.
Pelayo @gmail. And my website is votesampelayo.com.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Is there anything that you'd like to just make sure voters or anything we didn't touch on or any final remarks as we wrap it up?
No, it's just that this is, a great opportunity I feel for myself. Like I said, the natural progression after volunteering for many years and being such an advocate. I advocate for children, and I had mentioned at the candidates night, you know, teaching children, my work for children and with children is really one of my passions. And I feel like my life experiences really connect me to a lot of diverse communities that I feel I would be a help to if I was voted into the board.
All right. Well, reminder everyone, the vote is May 21st, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Woodlands Middle High School, 475 West Hartsdale Avenue. Rebecca, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. Thank you for putting yourself forward. We know it's
Thank
a
you, Eric.
volunteer position. We know it's a tremendous sacrifice in terms of hours and energy and effort spent. So thank you for putting your foot forward and best of luck.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.